Welcome, everyone, to this week's Cat's Eye on the Future. Tonight, I'd like to welcome back guest Lada Ray. Hi, Lada.
Hello.
Lada is a woman of many, many different talents and fields of interest. And one that I'm not familiar with very much at all is, I gather you're a Feng Shui master?
Yes, I'm internationally certified Feng Shui master.
And Lada would like to talk tonight about a subject that we don't usually talk about much on this show, which is, from a more Oriental perspective. And since this show will air just, I believe, slightly after Chinese New Year, we're going to start with the discussion on Chinese New Year, and I'm going to let Lada just start and tell us about it.
Well, this is a very, very big topic, but I would like to give a few details in a nutshell. First of all, Chinese culture is one of the great cultures of the world. It is one of my favorite cultures. And as Melodi knows, and some of my readers, fans, listeners know already, I do a lot of various things. I write fiction and I write nonfiction, including geopolitical analysis. I predict, and predictions are based on different areas of knowledge, including my clairvoyant, claircognizant abilities. And I also am very much into exploring, studying, and writing and speaking about various aspects of spirituality, consciousness, and new thought. I am also a certified shaman. But what I believe in is taking the best from each culture. Each cultural tradition has something very precious to offer to the world. And each cultural tradition, if approached with respect and with understanding, with an open heart, has so much to teach humanity. Chinese culture is one of the great cultures in this regard, and Feng Shui, the contribution of Feng Shui to the global network of knowledge, to the global grid, so to speak, of energy is tremendous. I respect Chinese culture very much. I'm actually married to a Hong Kong Chinese, and Hong Kong is something we also love very much. I studied in Hong Kong initially for Feng Shui. It's a long story. I studied for many years. And I've practiced Feng Shui. I have global practice with many clients all over the world who still call me even if they just need a brief advice. And all this, we do. I studied Feng Shui with Hong Kong masters, revered, ancient knowledge depository kind of masters. And then I received my international certification in Feng Shui from Lillian Tu, the famed Feng Shui author, and also a teacher and a student of Feng Shui of many years. So now let's talk a little bit about what Feng Shui, what Chinese New Year entails. Chinese New Year is celebrated usually in January or February of every year, and it is a lunar New Year. We actually distinguish two types of Chinese New Year. One is called Feng Shui New Year, which is based on solar calendar, and it starts always every year on February 4th. This is when we actually switch, as we call it in Feng Shui, our cures and our energizers for the new year. We put them in the locations, speaking as far as the compass directions go in the house, in those rooms because the energy moves every single year. So we have already done it for February 4th, and then on this year, on February 19th, we have a new beginning, a Chinese New Year of the wood sheep, also called green sheep, since wood is green usually, that denotes the color green. Also, in some areas of China, it is considered the year of the goat. So the goat and the sheep are considered the same animal. So those people who see the year of the goat versus the year of the sheep don't get confused. It's the same year. So the color green denotes the wood element of this year. And a sheep itself or goat belongs to the earth element. So we have the what is called heavenly stem and earth branch. The thing is that wood and earth, they conflict with each other. They are not compatible two elements. Wood, in fact, drains earth. So there is a conflict that is embedded in this upcoming year. But this is going to be nothing like the conflict we experienced last year with the Year of the Horse. And I would like to talk about that later when we will go into predictions for this year. I just wanted to highlight this piece. But so we start celebrating Chinese New Year on February 19th. And the celebrations normally last for 14 days, 2 weeks, in other words. And it's a big deal for the Chinese and for those who celebrate Chinese New Year every year around the world as well. Usually people love to entertain friends, lavish, very nice table set up for Chinese New Year is a must. Oftentimes people start celebrating on Chinese New Year's Eve or even a week or more prior, and then they continue celebrating as they go along. It is considered not auspicious to work on the first day of Chinese New Year. So if you can, it's February 19th, then don't work that day. Don't do anything heavy. One of the superstitions is that don't sweep your house, because you're sweeping out all the good fortune that comes with Chinese New Year. And don't do any repairs. Once on the first day of Chinese New Year, a repairman for the roof showed up in my house. Actually, I told them specifically not to show up on that date, and they apparently mixed up the dates. And because in the U.S. it was not, it's not a holiday, obviously, they had no idea what I was talking about when I told them that this is actually not the day to come in. So on that date, I actually had to tell them, sorry, but you cannot start today. You will have to come next week. He was not very happy about it. But this is a very interesting superstition that Chinese believe in very, very deeply and very profoundly. So they will not allow any repairs done on their house or any heavy work done on that day. Another thing that people do in Chinatown specifically, it's a very lavish dragon dance and lion dance parade. Those are normally done together. They're extremely colorful. And this year, incidentally, I am hoping to film the dragon dance parade in New York Chinatown. And so I will try to post that, if everything comes out right, on my YouTube channel, on Lada YouTube channel. So anybody who wants to take a look, they can just type in Lada on YouTube and my channel will come up.
Yeah, I've seen the dragon parades in San Francisco in person, and they're very, very impressive.
Yes, they are especially great in China, all over China and Hong Kong. They take it extremely seriously. There is very specific symbolism to how many legs the dragon has. And so this, oftentimes they make it so elaborate that there are like 12 and more people running and undulating the curves of the dragon. And when they are in Chinatown or in some kind of district where, there are a lot of merchants actually pay dragon dancers and lion dancers to come into each store or into each company. They're paid in advance and then they come in. What that symbolizes is the new energy coming in, the new prosperity. Dragon specifically symbolizes energy, prosperity, new beginnings, as well as growth. And lion symbolizes also energy and the fighter attitude, competitive attitude, in a good sense, not in a bad sense. Those lions are very cute. You look at them and they look like these like very nice dolls that you want to hug. They're not fierce at all.
Yeah, I was shopping once with my mother in Chinatown, San Francisco, and I didn't realize what day it was, and the dancers came into the store, and it was explained to us that the merchants, because there was even a symbolic handing over of, I think it was Monopoly money or something. It was quite impressive.
Yes, these are actually paid events. Otherwise, basically in New York Chinatown, all merchants get together and they pool their resources to actually finance this parade. So the Chinatown Parade is financed partially, I believe, even by the city and partially by the community there. And then each merchant additionally has to pay them to come into the store.
Yeah, my mother was delighted. In fact, we actually, now I think about this, happened 2 different years, and of course I didn't realize it was lunar, and when I worked in an office with Chinese people later, I kind of knew when it was, because they would bring in special foods and things, but that particular couple of years I wasn't, and my mother said, do they do this every year? And I said, no, do they do this all the time? And I said, I don't think so. I think it must be a special holiday. So I'm really glad to have that cleared up, that it was the New Year's dragons.
Uh-huh.
And
Yes.
lion dancers coming into the shop. Because I didn't think they just
Yeah.
did it for tourists. It was far too elaborate.
Right. It also be that the shop is either was new or was expanding, and they might have ordered the dance. If it wasn't during Chinese New Year, they might have ordered the dance to bless the shop and to create a lot of new chi, new energy for the new enterprise or for the expansion. That could be something like that as well. But usually it's done for Chinese New Year. It's actually considered extremely auspicious to be present, even to watch a dragon dance. We haven't gone for many years, and we decided to go this year because I kind of missed that.
Well,
So we'll see. Mm-hmm.
that might have been
Yeah,
why we saw it twice. Probably one time it was New Year's because there was more of them.
Mm-hmm.
And the other time I think it was just the one set of dancers in the store. So that would make sense.
Yes, I would like to speak about how to best celebrate Chinese New Year and what constitutes the auspicious, the lucky, and the joyful celebration for Chinese New Year. Also, my advice as to what colors to wear, etc. So colors are very important in Feng Shui and in Chinese culture. And the way we determine which color signifies what is from the Chinese system of the 5 elements, and the productive cycle of the 5 elements is this: water, then wood produces wood, wood produces fire, fire produces earth, and then earth produces metal, and then metal again produces water. That's the productive cycle. So this year, because of the conflicting energy of this year and different elements that are clashing, it is recommended that people wear red, all shades of red, as much as possible, because that reconciles the elements of the year. Therefore, celebrating your new year in red is, first of all, always advisable, always auspicious, and it's especially auspicious this year. So when celebrating Chinese New Year, please wear red. Also, red tablecloth is nice. As far as also celebrating Chinese New Year, there is a wonderful tradition that Chinese observe very much. It's called giving out or presenting somebody with a red envelope. The red envelope is this very colorful, very pretty, with some auspicious symbols and colors on it, a Chinese envelope in which usually people put money, and they then usually present it to their children, especially for children. You really want to prepare some money and give them in those Chinese red envelopes. Also, parents, even if their children are grown, oftentimes still give money to their children. Like, for example, my husband's parents always have these envelopes ready for us. Which is a good incentive to visit them, obviously, for Chinese New Year. But we love them regardless, of course.
Is the money usually given instead of presents, or are presents sometimes exchanged as well?
Yes, presents also are given oftentimes, and but it's not necessary. Well, actually, the red envelope tradition is like giving that good wish. The actual symbolism is not really in the money. It's actually in the envelope. So envelopes are even hung as garlands. Lanterns are made out of them because they are already packed with a lot of energy. The symbolism, the colors of the envelope, the pictures on them are very telling. So even if it's an empty envelope, it's still a good wish. But money, people started putting in more money for an extra something, because money in the contemporary 3D world that we live in represents energy and also good wish. But people do give presents of all kinds, just like, really, you name it, whatever you want. It's all is good.
I only ask because, American, a lot of the people listening to the show are from America or Europe, and they associate, of course, Yule season or Christmas time with giving presents. And I was just wondering if it was just money, or if they're finding out the envelope is really what's being given is really kind of fun too. I never knew that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I will. On my blog, Lada blog, for those who don't know, I have two blogs that I maintain. One is called Lada blog. Another is called Futurist Trendcast, in which I post my predictions, geopolitical things, and a lot of serious things that go on in the world. And Lada blog is this light blog. You can just type my name or the name of these blogs in Google, and they will come up. I will have some posts, and I actually have Feng Shui articles on the Lada blog, and also on my website, ladaray.info. You can go there, and you can find more links to my articles about Feng Shui, and there are some pictures of red envelopes. And for previous years on Lada blog, I did, each year I do predictions and also how to auspiciously celebrate Chinese New Year. So there is one for the year of the dragon, of the horse, and of the snake for previous 3 years that I did on Lada blog. There are pictures of Chinese red envelopes there, and also other things that help you celebrate, including how to set a nice table, what colors to wear, and etc., etc. Well, another thing that is great is red lanterns. You have probably seen red lanterns hung in Chinatowns around the world, or perhaps on TV, if you watch TV, where they're showing celebrations of Chinese New Year in Asia. And red lanterns are another way to bring in a lot of energy, a lot of chi, and they are hung everywhere. This is pretty spectacular, actually. And red color is especially important this coming year. It's not so every year, but the year of the horse that we are getting out of right now is also characteristic of is the fire. So the red color was very important for that year. But another thing that people do are prosperity rituals, because you want to bring prosperity into your home and into your business, into your life in general. So people do, depending on the area where they live, they do various prosperity rituals. Some of the rituals that I'm personally partial to, and as Feng Shui master, I recommend it to my clients as well, is there is, you can buy the money tree. Money trees are sold sometimes in the Western hemisphere as well, in Western shops, or maybe if you go to Chinatown. Bamboo is great, buying curly bamboo especially. Pussy willows, interestingly enough, something that everybody is familiar with in the Western hemisphere, the pussy willows, they are considered the harbingers of spring. To bring spring into your home, you can put up pussy willows and try to grow them, try to sprout them. I personally buy pussy willows for New Year's. One of the things that Chinese do, and generally Asians do, for New Year's they buy mandarin trees or orange trees. They grow oranges or mandarins in their homes or even outside. They display them outside. But see, they live in a different climate. We cannot do something like that. So pussy willows are great. Also, any spring flowers. I intend to go and buy some tulips, my favorite spring flowers, especially red tulips. Or red and yellow tulips, another great combination. And of course, as I said, pussy willows are highly recommended. I personally keep pussy willows together with bamboo, curly bamboo in my house, and I love it. I just love it. Also, somebody gave me roses for Valentine's Day, so I put roses in there as well, and it's just such a great combination, this really large vase.
So are there special foods or anything that people eat?
Well, as far as foods go, that's a great question. Chinese consider fish especially auspicious. So those who eat any sort of animal products, some people are vegetarian, then they would not do that. But fish is considered especially auspicious. Of course, there are such things as chicken, eggs, because all that has connotation for prosperity. But fish, the word for fish in Chinese sounds very similar to prosperity. And that is considered the most prosperous and auspicious thing to eat. Also shrimp. Shrimp is also in the same category. It's considered the prosperity food, but you also want to have it very colorful and with a lot of vegetables. As far as vegetables go, again, on Lada blog and on ladare.info, I have my past articles with my own pictures of how I set up the table once I did an expose. And I demonstrate the kinds of foods that I introduced to the table. I had 2 types of rice, white rice and mahogany rice, then also peas. Peas, there are so many of them, and they're green, so they are more both growth and money, and the color green is associated with everything joyful and celebration and also spring. Then red colors, anything from tomatoes, for example, to carrots. Incidentally, carrots have that orange color that is also very joyful. Tomatoes are great, of any size, small tomatoes, large tomatoes. As far as also cabbage is considered very auspicious. So I made this cabbage salad with peas, with tomatoes, with a lot of colors in it to introduce as much this joyful green and red color into it. Cabbage, bok choy, is also associated with prosperity because it has all these leaves in it, and so many of them. So and they grow, and they're so they are expensive, and so expansion, then prosperity, abundance are associated with cabbage as well. A very important thing to have is oranges. Since orange trees don't grow in our climates, what we do, we buy a lot of oranges. One of the things I do personally, when I get the chance, is the prosperity cart ceremony, when the cart is loaded up with oranges. I also display oranges on my dining table in a very large vase. I also have pictures, incidentally, on my blog for that, so people can see what it looks like. Another thing, it's not the only sweet thing, but oranges or mandarins, tangerines are very important. But you can also display apples, red apples, for example. Bananas are good. I also display and we eat dried fruits that we like, that we enjoy, nuts, all that is very good. And sweets are also very important. I personally bake a very, very auspicious cake, but that is also very healthy, because I'm not into sweets and nobody eats those very sweet, sugary things in my household. So we bake a very auspicious but very healthy cake, nevertheless, of all organic, natural ingredients. I also have pictures of that, incidentally.
I have a vague memory of my coworkers bringing in some kind of cookie or something. Is that New Year's or is that a different holiday? There were mooncakes.
Oh, yeah, mooncakes, right. Mooncakes are generally not for New Year's. They are for the Harvest Festival, and that would be in September.
Okay.
This is celebrated also very lavishly. Mooncakes are very delicious. They're so rich. Incidentally, they add an egg to mooncakes oftentimes. Sometimes they are made out of bean paste and rice flour, and oftentimes the most expensive ones, they bake a piece of egg into each. They're super delicious, but they're so rich. I'm personally able to eat just a tiny piece of that, and that's it. Parents buy that. My husband's parents buy that all the time. They're very expensive, and stores don't even make money on those because the technology is so elaborate. It takes them such a long time to prepare. And I'm talking authentic ones. Maybe the cheaper ones are available in stores, but those really old, ancient recipe, authentic ones, they are available through special orders only. You have to know where to go. It's a whole deal.
I'm guessing I probably never had a really authentic one, unless one of my coworkers might have made it at home, but I don't remember whether someone, but I think these were mostly from the Chinese bakery, basically. You know, the regular ones. So they were probably a less formal version. But okay, so those are, but is there anything else about the actual celebrations that we need to know about?
Celebration it implies a lot of joy, meeting family, friends, all sitting down at a very nice table, what I described, and then everything else. Please use your imagination and enjoy yourselves. That's the main thing. Actually, enjoying yourselves and helping others and being nice to each other and giving each other auspicious red envelopes, or if you don't have them, just give something nice to each other, even just a small thing, even an orange, just present everybody with a nice orange each. Giving presents. If you have elderly parents, here, I'm going to say this. If you have elderly parents, it is a very good idea to give them something that is associated with longevity, to wish them longevity and to wish them good health. There are specific Chinese things, like, for example, giving a statue of Sao. Sao is that old wise man who carries a peach in one hand and a staff in another with the white beard. I really like this three wise men symbolism, Fuk, Luk, and Sao. I keep them in my house. I also have a large painting of Sao in my home. And again, I might have a lot more pictures on my website, so please visit me in the next 2 weeks, and you will find out more and you will see more pictures. But if you don't have access to the Sao sculptures, because that would be a great gift to your parents, and if you want to wish them health and longevity, you might go to a Chinatown near you and ask for a Sao sculpture. This is it's one of the great, this old man who has wisdom, but who has this beautiful, young smile, even though he is 100 or, I don't know, maybe 500 years old. But you can also give your parents peaches, for example. Peaches symbolize health and longevity as well. Cranes symbolize that. Also, anything that is green, like any green plant, including bamboo, incidentally. You can give your parents that. Just good wishes, generally.
You have been listening to part 1 of Cat's Eye on the Future. We'll return to the show right after these short messages.
Do you have questions? The cards have answers. If you would like a personal reading with Melody, just go to my website, melodipsychicreadings.com. That's Melody with an I, psychicreadings.com, for information, or email me at melodyreader@gmail.com. Readings are available using Skype, phone, email, or even in person if you are lucky to live in Ireland. Why not find out what special messages the cards have just for you and book a private reading today?
We now return to part 2 of Cat's Eye on the Future.
Well, I would like to speak maybe a little bit about the Chinese zodiac and
Great.
also what the sheep symbolizes, what the year of the sheep symbolizes specifically, if you don't mind, okay?
I think that's a great idea.
Okay, so I'll start with the sheep. So we have the year of the sheep and what a change it is from the year of the horse. Again, those who read my blog know that the year of the horse was extremely volatile. I predicted that there would be huge turmoil in the world, and clashes will be deadly, and fights will be gloves off. And gloves off, we know what that means. It's extremely ugly fights, and that's what we've seen around the world. I'm not going to go into that because that's a pretty grave and sad topic, and we discussed this, Melody, with you and Paul Plain on the Plain Truth show, and I also talk about it on Futurist Trendcast a lot. Today, I'm trying to have this very positive energy given to your listeners through our show today. So I want to focus on as many positive things as possible, but there are certain things that might not be as pleasing, perhaps. But generally, I have good news. Okay, so the sheep, let me compare it to the horse. Horse is that very free and oftentimes very moody, very perhaps even self-centered kind of animal. It's a big animal. It's the animal that loves its freedom, loves to run, loves a lot of action. It's fiery. Horse resides in Chinese zodiac in the south, and we are moving along the wheel clockwise. So we are moving to the southwest from the south, from the place of the horse. So horse introduced that very fiery energy, and wood, because it was the year of the wood horse, it introduced even more fire, because wood feeds the fire. And now that we are in the sheep year, sheep is a very docile animal. It's a meek animal. It's a peaceful animal. Incidentally, we have 4 types of affinities in the Chinese zodiac, of which I will speak later. And the sheep is considered the diplomat, or the lover also, you can call it, of the zodiac, which already says a lot. So this year, great news for those who listen us, for my usual readers and listeners who visit my Futurist Trendcast blog. What is great this year, diplomatic solutions are possible all over the world. So these horrible clashes in Ukraine, for example, could hopefully be resolved diplomatically, or start being resolved. And we're already seeing signs of that. But initially, the year will still be very volatile. So the first half of the year will resemble the year of the horse. It will still be with lesser degree, not as fiery, not as volatile, but it will be still a lot of clashes, a lot of animosity. But eventually the energy of this diplomat of the zodiac will prevail. And in the second part of the year, it will be better. It will get better and better and better. Additionally, sheep represents the energy of the Mother Earth. Southwest in Chinese zodiac, in Feng Shui, represents the Mother Earth. And that is also saying a lot. So anything associated with the Mother Earth actually is very good this year. Anybody who is into working with the earth, with Mother Earth, on any level, whether it's spiritual level or whether it's working with the earth, like in agriculture, for example, or in your garden, it's a good year for that. We don't have what is called Lapchun, which is the proverbial spring, which we had last year. So the beginnings were bringing new shoots that would be very successful. That's why all over the world we had a lot of starts. Which will be successful from the year of the horse. But this year, what we do have is all of us have the possibility of making money and being successful in what we already are doing. The reason for that is that we actually have, according to the Chinese numerology and Chinese 5-element system, we actually have all elements in balance this year. We have all 5 elements present in this year's chart. This is great. This is awesome. This happens very rarely. We were missing elements last year. We had Lapchun, so the new starts were good. So that's the difference between the 2 years. Now, the sheep, as I said, is a peaceful, peace-loving animal, and it's a meek animal. That's also very positive this year. Meanwhile, sheep, when is the year of a specific animal, what we do have, as I'm going deeper into Chinese lore, into Feng Shui lore, what we do have, it's called in translation is the Grand Duke Jupiter. The Grand Duke Jupiter is the proverbial energy of the year. So when the energy of the year sits in the location of the sheep or horse or any other zodiac animal, that animal is considered in difficulty because Grand Duke Jupiter is a little bit jealous and it does not like sharing the energy, its energy. Another animal that is considered in difficulty is the animal opposing the Grand Duke Jupiter, which in this case would be the ox. And this is why I actually said that Barack Obama, who is an ox, he will have a difficult year in 2015 and into January of 2016. By the time, the new Chinese year arrives, it will be late January, beginning of February of next year. He will have difficulties, and he already has difficulties. His approval rating is the lowest of his presidency, and many criticisms, many difficulties. So that will continue for him. But a lot of this difficulty depends on the karma of each person. So if you actually are one of these animals, but you are a beautiful, loving being who only does good things for everybody and for mankind, then you probably won't have any difficulty because your karma, you have generated so much protection via your really awesome karma that everything will just go swimmingly for you. The reason Obama will not have this situation is because he generated a ton of really bad karma because of his past actions and his present actions as well.
So how does a person know what their animal is?
Actually, all this information is available freely online. You just type in your animal or type in Chinese zodiac year of birth, your year of birth, and or how to determine your Chinese zodiac animal, and the table will come up. There are plenty of sites that have that. I might actually have this table posted at one point on my ladaray.info website, so people can also go there and determine, just look it up freely there. I haven't gotten around to doing that yet, but I'm planning on doing it.
So but in the Chinese system, it's the year you're born, not the month you're born in?
It's the year you're born, and this is how it works. Actually, the entire cycle is 60 years. People think it's 12 years because there are 12 animal signs. But in reality, it's 60 years. So these are the 12 animal signs, and I'll explain why it's 60 years. The 12 animal signs, we start with rat, which is the first sign. Rat, then ox, then tiger, then rabbit, then dragon, then snake, horse, sheep, monkey, rooster, dog, and boar. Rat is first. It corresponds also each of these signs corresponds with the one of the 8 directions of the compass. Red would be north, and ox and tiger will be northeast. We're going clockwise. Then rabbit and rabbit would be east, a dragon and snake would be southeast, horse would be south, sheep would be southwest, and so is monkey. Monkey is also southwest. So basically we are going like this, clockwise, and according to the productive cycle of the 5 elements I discussed before. Feng Shui is much more than the Chinese zodiac system and the 5-element and color system, much more than that. But these are 2 of the schools of the Feng Shui. There is also Yin Yang that is introduced in this system. Yin Yang is another school of Feng Shui, and say each animal, they alternate. Like if rat is Yang, then ox is yin, then tiger is again yang, then rabbit yin, etc., etc. They alternate like this. So there are 12 animals. You can picture like a zodiac wheel with these 12 animals, and they change according to the year. So every year we have new animal. But see, the 5 elements come in right there. We have 5 elements times 12 signs. Therefore, we have 60 years, because every sign, it rotates with the 5-element thing. Like, for example, we had the sheep is earth, and then in several years' time, we will switch to the next. We are in the wood cycle right now. In several animals, we are switching to the new, to the fire element. Okay, so the following cycle will be fire cycle. So the wood sheep year only happens once in 60 years. The sheep year specifically, it happens every 12 years, but it's different every time. It could be wood, it could be fire, it could be metal, water, etc.
So, for example, I'm going to be 60 next year, and I happen to know from the Chinese placemat in the local Chinese restaurant that I'm a monkey. So that'll mean next year I repeat the year of my birth, essentially, in terms astrologically.
Congratulations! Exactly. That was the next thing I was going to say, that every 6 years we make full circle. Congratulations on your upcoming return of the Chinese zodiac year, and you will be, therefore you are the wood monkey. Well, monkey represents the metal element. As a matter of fact, I'm sorry, sometimes it's considered part of the earth and sometimes part of the metal. It really is metal, okay? So monkey is metal, and monkey is, let me tell you, monkey is also one of the competitors of the zodiac. So there are 4 types. Each of the 12 animals is grouped in groups of 3, and these 3 groups, these 4 groups of animals, they represent a type, an archetype. So the rat, the monkey, and the dragon, which is the affinity triangle. If you are married, for example, to a rat or a dragon, then you are in great luck, because you have very smooth marriage, very, very good, easy-going marriage. So these are competitors of the zodiac. Then we have the independents, which is the horse, the dog, and the tiger. Then we have the intellectuals, or also called movers and shakers, you can call them. These are the snake, the rooster, and the ox. Incidentally, the ox, and they're also advisors. They're advisors, intellectuals, and the diplomats are also possibly the lovers, you could call them. The rabbit, the sheep, and the boar. These are 4 love triangles, so to speak. They are affinity triangles, rather. And each sign also has a secret friend. Like, for example, sheep's secret friend is actually a horse. These are those people who help you, and they don't even ask for anything back. They actually support you, and you may not even know who they are. For an ox, I can tell you the secret friend is rat, and vice versa. They work in pairs. They help each other. well, that's how it works. I don't remember who the secret friend is for the monkey, but I can look it up for you later.
Thank you. That would it just is kind of fun, and
yes,
yeah, I would wonder. I wonder what year 1967 was. I would find out what my husband knows, but that's we can do that later.
Oh, 1967?
Yep.
Well, I'll look it up for you.
Great.
I can actually look it up for you right away. What months? Because that's important. What months was he born?
He was
because,
born
well,
June 28th.
Let me qualify this. When I say it's a yearly sign, it's not entirely true because year could go over into the next year or start later in the year. Therefore, when I ask my clients to supply me this information, because if you go incidentally to my ladaray.info website, you will find consultations there, and there are Feng Shui consultations and Chinese New Year and Chinese Zodiac consultations, that sort of thing. And I need from people specifically date of birth, gender, and a year of birth, of course. But date of birth is still very important for me. I cannot do anything without the date of birth, and the not just months, but date of birth. And the gender is also very important when we do our charts and calculations. So I'm sorry, but what is the date of birth of your husband?
Okay, June 28th.
June 28th, 1967, right?
Yeah, I'm a cougar. I married a younger man.
Oh, that's wonderful. 1967. Oh my goodness, he's a sheep.
Really?
This is his year.
That's so not his personality, though. He'll be horrified. He'll want to be a dragon, I know.
Yeah. But he's an earth sheep. He is not a wood sheep or any other. He's an earth sheep. Do you know what that means? This actually means that his element is very supported. He actually has fire in his chart as well. And that means that he's a very strong sheep.
Oh,
a
yeah.
Sheep that's strong might actually be quite assertive.
Well, yeah, I mean, we had a ram. I mean, we had a ram that had like about 6 horns, and, you know, because I was listening to you describe sheep, and I'm thinking, that's some sheep, but then there's sheep. And, you know, ours was, well, he had a son we actually wound up naming, he kept jumping fences, and our neighbor called him that little devil, and we named him Lucifer. Because you could not keep him in a pen for love or money, you know. That's the kind of, I think, the kind of sheep my husband would be like Jacob, our ram, you know, just big horns. Yes. and you know, in charge of everything. Very curious. But no, and I was born November 12th, 1956, so I don't know if that but I'm actually doing this also because my listeners can hear what you're doing for me is what you would do for them in a consultation, correct?
Right. Say it again, November
12th, 1956.
Right. And you're a metal monkey, which is metal on metal. This is good, but you do have fire in your chart as well, which melts metal. So you do have good stuff which supports it. Metal on metal is good, so you have good, good stuff going on. But fire kind of melts it a little bit. Yeah, so it can work out in so many ways, incidentally.
Yeah.
But, generally it's good. It can, monkey can be a very lucky animal when it comes to money making. If you choose to do that, you can be very lucky in any sort of, especially when you're metal monkey, you're metal on metal. That's a lot of metal. Fire, it's interesting that fire is introduced here because, fire melts metal, though, and depending on how everything else falls in your chart, because this is only one of the elements I look at. The main element is when I do a chart, it's called the Feng Shui Success Chart. It's one of the written consultations. What I do, I determine by the year and date of birth, I determine your lucky elements and lucky directions and lucky, how luck falls for your success, growth in life, for prosperity, what would make your life luckier, how to capitalize on what you have, what lucky colors to wear, how to sleep, for example, which way should your bed point, because when you sleep you absorb a lot of chi from the universe through your seventh chakra, through your crown chakra. It comes in. So what you want to do is you want to point your bed, your head, you want to point the head of your bed towards the direction that would be auspicious for you energetically, and there are 4 such directions. We each have them.
So basically, in a consultation, you'd be doing more like, it's the difference between what I read on the Chinese placemat was very much like in Western astrology, a solar chart, that says you're a Scorpio or you're a Taurus or something, which doesn't really tell you very much, but it tells you a few things. That's the Chinese placemat school. What you're doing if somebody goes to you for consultation, it's more like the full chart that you would get in Western astrology with all the planets and what everything means and stuff.
Well, Chinese zodiac can be a part of this, but the main work is the Feng Shui work. As I said, I go by these schools of Feng Shui. Depending on the consultation, you will see on the consultations page of ladaray.info, there are many different consultations, including a prosperity, abundance, and wealth consultation. But this one that I'm describing is the chart. This is my multi-year bestseller, very popular. In this chart, I mainly go by the 5 elements, by the 8 aspirations. These are 2 schools of Feng Shui. Also, there are the colors that go into that, and I also include the astrology side of it. But that's a minor thing compared to the Feng Shui thing. That's where serious stuff comes in. People change their lives. They come for a consultation to me. Presently, I only do consultations that are global, meaning that I do a written consultation and send it to you via email, or I might do a Skype consultation, but that presently we have a 4 weeks wait on that. Well, it can be scheduled and then there is a wait period, and certain consultations might be added. But what I am saying is that the simplest one is the chart. There are also consultations that are much more elaborate and involved than that. As far as the zodiac goes, it's a start. But from knowing your animal, we already know something about your character. But the main thing that I will learn is when I calculate your lucky directions. Well, I'll give you an example. You can have... We're going beyond the zodiac here. The way the lucky directions and lucky elements are calculated is by assigning one of the so-called Quan numbers to you. Quan number, there are 9 of them. And they, in one case, males and females have different Quan number, even if they were born in one day. But overall, they're the same. Basically, I need to know your gender, in other words, to make sure that your Quan number is the same is correct, okay? So there are 9 Quan numbers. And they start with, they're again based on the 5 elements theory. They start with the north. Number 1 is associated with the north and water element. It's also associated with the rat that resides in the north. And then we go into wood. Then number 2 would be earth. Number 3 would be wood. Number 4 is small wood. Then number 5 is earth again. Then number 6 is metal, number 7 is metal, number 8 is earth, and number 9 is fire. These are the numbers. I assign that number to you, and after I calculate it based on the information you supplied to me, date and year of birth and gender, and then I calculate which directions of the compass, which colors, which elements are auspicious for you for any purpose. And the four main purposes are your general success in life, that includes your career and money success, but it's a general success. Also, then your love and relationships. It's not just love between two people. It's relationships inside the family, with co-workers, with your friends, with your extended family, everywhere. And generally your relationship and self-love to yourself also qualifies here. We calculate all that, and then I give you advice as to what you need to strengthen. Maybe you need, for me, for example, because I work so much at my desk at home, it is extremely important that I sit facing one of my success directions. And it could be a self-development and growth direction, for example, or it could be my general success direction, or maybe I'll choose the love and relationship direction. There's also health direction that is very important, but also colors. Like for me, for example, the most auspicious combination of colors for success, for my personal, is red and green. Okay, but there are other colors I might choose to wear, such as very productive. We also look at that. What is the productive cycle of elements and what is destructive? A productive cycle of elements would be red and green. That would be very productive. Or black and green is also or blue and green is productive. But the destructive one might be something like silver and red, because silver is metal and red is fire, and fire destroys metal. You know what I mean? Or there could be there is a cycle that is exhausting or exhaustive cycle of elements. So one element doesn't destroy but exhausts each other, which is the relationship, for example, between wood, as we have in this year, and earth. Wood grows in the earth, roots grow in the earth, so they take life out of earth. Earth gets depleted when roots of the plants suck those elements, the nutrition out of earth. So it is considered that wood depletes earth. So that's the third cycle. There are lots of interesting things.
Oh, I'm just fascinated. I'm sure the audience is too. I mean, I'm sure you can go on like this, but this gives people, I think, an idea of, if they went for consultation, the kind of depths and different things you can get into, which I think is just absolutely amazing. I know before we go, you wanted to talk about a few predictions based for the Chinese New Year here, for the coming up.
Yes. I already mentioned a few things. The general, let me just do a general prediction very quickly. I will reiterate for the world, and then I also want to give people a tip, leave people with that tip for what to do this year to avoid extra animosity, like warring, arguing in the household. I think that would be useful for everybody. So the general prediction for the world is that last year was extremely volatile, with a lot of animosity, a lot of gloves off fighting, because we had a year of the wood horse. Now this year, because the sheep is a diplomat of the Chinese zodiac, we will have little by little. It's going to be very gradual. It's not going to happen right away, the switch to diplomacy, but we already see that in the world. Again, my best example is Ukrainian conflict, and see already that people already sat down at the table in Minsk and negotiated at least initial ceasefire, and they're trying to push that extremely volatile situation that potentially could bring World War III into European continent. They already switched it towards the peace mode, which is very good. This is excellent. It's not going to happen right away. There will be a lot of problems with that, whether we are talking Ukraine or elsewhere in the world. And fights will keep flaring up in Ukraine and possibly elsewhere, even in Europe. Europe generally is not going to be a peaceful, a nice continent to travel to. I know a lot of, Melodi, I know you live in Europe, and a lot of your listeners, I'm sure, live in Europe. A lot of my fans who follow me on Futurist Trendcast also are Europeans. So sorry to say, Europe will continue in the first half of the year experiencing problems with shootouts, potential terrorism. Hopefully, I don't think there will be like a war in Europe. We do have a war in Ukraine, which incidentally is in the middle of Europe. And that is affected. That area is very affected. It is incidentally Ukraine. If we take the post-Soviet space, it occupies the southwestern corner of that, and southwest is the place of the sheep. And Europe generally, especially southwestern Europe, is also the place of the sheep for the Eurasian continent. It is also the southwestern corner. So anything located in the southwest might have these flare-ups. So Western Europe, especially southwestern Europe, is suspect for that. But generally speaking, diplomacy will prevail by towards the second part and the end of the year. I also think, as far as investments go, probably second half of the year will be better for any new investments than this year. Than the first part of this year. I already said about Obama. And generally, the situation with the oxen and the sheep or the goats of the zodiac, they have to tread more or less carefully. Because we go by the compass directions, I do not recommend people, if you need to do some serious work in the garden or build something or make a lot of construction noise, I do not recommend you make noise in the southwestern sector of your home or your garden. Refrain from doing that. Another area to avoid making noise is west this year. So these two sectors, as far as building, digging something in the garden, redoing your house, try to avoid southwest and west, doing this like very noisy construction or digging work. That's another very serious advice. Should not do any of that. Other sectors are fine. And I'm going to proceed to another personal advice for any listeners. This year, another problem we have is that according to Chinese, to very advanced Chinese, Feng Shui school of the flying stars is the flying star Feng Shui, which I do consultations on that as well for those who are pretty advanced in this. This consultation and this school is best at determining the following things. Number one, it determines where the best prosperity energy resides in your home or in your building, if it's a business, and where the best relationship energy resides. And it seriously activates all that. Activation is such that you can become really lucky, really famous, or if it's a relationship star, and you can become pretty wealthy. It depends on a lot of other things as well, of course. And also it depends based on numerology. It also then gives you an idea of where the lucky stars are for this specific year and unlucky stars are. I have some information on Lada blog about how this works, and I'm going to put more information on ladaray.info, my new website. So that's people can go to ladaray.info in a week or two and have a lot of information there as well. And read up on what all these schools of Feng Shui signify, how they work. So back to the flying stars, what happens is that when a star of specific designated in flying star Feng Shui as the unlucky star, we have this lucky and unlucky star, when it flies into the center, then a lot of things actually go wrong in the household, and this is like a warlike environment. So, but that's the bad news. The good news is that you can protect yourself. it's not like you can't do anything. Oh, disaster, end of the world. No. It's not the end of the world. You just need to protect yourself. So we protect ourselves with specific things. And so this year, when the number 3 star, which is considered the star of discord, argument, and in worst situations is the star of war. This star has flown into the center of your home, wherever you live, however your house is located, whatever direction it's facing, or if it's a building, in the center you have that star, because that's general for everybody. And the number 3 star, the best way of extinguishing it and pacifying it, I use the following things, and I'm going to give people this advice. If you cannot find that, that's a different story. Maybe there is something else you can find that is similar. Just use the same principle. One of the things that is great is the laughing Buddha. It's like this fat Buddha with his cheeks, and he's smiling, but it has to be in red and gold. It has to be colored red and gold. Again, I will have some pictures later. You can see them on Lada blog to get an idea of what I'm talking about, or later I'll post them on ladaray.info. So the laughing Buddha in red and gold. As a matter of fact, anything in red and gold, if you have any sort of item that is a lucky item, like say some kind of fabric that is red and gold, say red fabric with gold thread going through it, you can hang it as hanging in the very center of your home if you have a wall there. I for example, have a wall in the center, and I use laughing Buddhas there. I also use rose quartz lamps. You can buy rose quartz lamps in various stores that are spiritual stores or New Age stores. Rose quartz is considered the stone, the crystal of love. Therefore, it actually pacifies any animosity by itself. And if you buy a lamp, rose quartz lamp, which has a nice little bulb in it, it's usually this tiny bulb, like 7 watt, and place it in the center, that also wonderfully pacifies any energy of argument in the household and introduces love back into your relationship. I also use in my center tangas. I collect Tibetan tangas, and specifically the tanga painted in red and gold. That's what I use there, with the Buddha and various beautiful deities there, and with the temple, it's mandala. Mandala is very, very good for pacifying the star of argument. So any listeners who, if they felt that somehow as the year was switching, they started arguing in the household, or there is unpleasant animosity, or if you, for some reason, you don't get along as well with people in your at your work, or you are a little bit too snappy at people, then more snappy than usual, then please use some of these cures, whatever you can access in your area. Whatever you do in the center of your home, do not use any plants or do not use any water, because that only accelerates and makes the animosity and war start worse.
That is really interesting. I want to thank you for that. That's I would never in a million years have thought of something like that.
Well, I want to add to that keep in mind that these stars switch every year, and the next year, once we have the year of the monkey next year, we will not have the same star in the center. It in fact will be the number 2 star, which is the illness star. So we feng shui completely differently for that. When people order a consultation from me, if they need this advice, I also include this advice for them. It depends on the consultation, of course, or they can always come for additional next year. But yeah, we will be feng shuiing completely differently, and we will not want any fire or rose quartz lamp in that same sector next year, because that will only reinforce the number 2 illness star in the center. And why the center is important? Because it's the heart of your home. It is the heart of your existence, and that influences everybody. And again, this feng shui is both local, individual, and global. So the center of the earth has the same kind of dynamics in as far as feng shui goes as the as our individual dwelling. But start with yourself, start internally, right? We start with ourselves, then we change the world around us. So the first thing is to have peace, harmony, prosperity in our own homes, to love ourselves, to respect ourselves enough to actually pay attention to how we live, what kind of, how harmonious our environment is. My definition of feng shui is not what others define it. That's way too 3D, so to speak, quote unquote. It's not, we are entering the Aquarian age. We are entering the age where humanity is trying to transition and ascend, if you will, into higher dimensions, into 5D. We want to be more spiritual right now. So you cannot continue defining feng shui as if this is like some kind of little whim, as the art of placement, as they call it. This is so passé. This is so 20th century. What I defined, how I define feng shui is this. Feng shui is good feng shui signifies a proper alignment and harmonization of your inner and outer worlds. And this is what we need to work with. This is how we need to approach it. We want to harmonize. We want to balance our inner and outer worlds in such a way that our life flows as smoothly as possible. There are so many challenges in the world. The world is going crazy. We start with ourselves. We balance ourselves. And as the more people balance themselves and stop being angry, stop arguing, stop putting blame on somebody else, the more we take responsibility for our own life, the more the world around us will change.
I think that's a really, really profound insight. And I mean, it's something that we hear every day, but I think you really, really described it well with some practical advice on how to do it. I know you have to be going soon because you have, I believe, your own Chinese celebration to attend or something like that.
Yes, we are actually going to visit our parents, my in-laws, and we will be celebrating for a week or two. We'll be staying with them, celebrating Chinese New Year, and we will, as I said, attend the wonderful celebration in Chinatown, and we will go to parade. I will say hi to a lot of people I have not seen for many years. Yes, it's going to be a lot of fun, and hopefully I will be able to post if my video comes out. Expect it on Lada Ray blog and ladaray.info. This is my general website. Things are I'm building up ladaray.info, but keep visiting it if you're interested in the feng shui subject, and my predictions and or shift reports are coming to ladaray.info as well. I will be filling it with content throughout this year. There will be more and more. So I'm inviting everybody to visit both of my blogs and ladaray.info, and incidentally my YouTube channel as well, of course.
Well, I want to encourage all my listeners to do that. I want to wish for you an absolutely wonderful and happy and prosperous Chinese New Year. And I hope you come back soon. This has been great.
Thank you, Melody, and I want to wish the same to you and your husband and your wonderful kitty and all the listeners here. And as we say in Hong Kong, Gong Hei Fa Choi. That means New Year happy. Happy New Year, but they say it in reverse. So Gong Hei Fa Choi, everyone. This is in Cantonese.
Well, okay. Well, Happy Chinese New Year to everyone as well. And I want to thank all my listeners for joining us tonight. And I look forward to seeing you next time at Cat's Eye on the Future.
You have been listening to Cat's Eye on the Future, the show where we take a look at what's coming up in your world and your future. Join us again next time for another episode of Cat's Eye on the Future.